All right, welcome back, everybody, live on Radio Row in Atlanta. It is the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN, and joining me is the host of First and Last right here on 97.3 ESPN. Did you bring me a burger?
I did not. So, listen, I was
Mike Gill Jr., by the way, is with me.
I was walking by, and I saw James Harrison, who is a terrifying, imposing figure. And I look over, and all of a sudden, I see him with a sausage biscuit sandwich. And he looks at me and goes, "You want one?" And I go, "Yeah, sure, just don't hit me." And he pulls over, he's got a bag of like Hardee's sausage chicken sandwiches, and so I abide by a simple rule in life, which is if James Harrison hands me a sausage biscuit sandwich, I have to eat that sausage biscuit sandwich.
There you go. Well, I got to tell you, though, where's that from?
Hardee's.
Hardee's. Chick-fil-A sets the standard for nice people that work there. This Atlanta Chick-fil-A is the
Really?
pinnacle.
It's the mecca, it's the crown jewel of the Chick-fil-A kingdom?
They are the nicest of nice. People here.
And, like, I think that's an undersold part of the entire fast food or fast casual experience. Like, I'm going there to be pampered a little bit. I'm going there to obviously get my food fast, get a lot of calories, a lot of empty calories, but also I don't want to be yelled at. This isn't the Wiener Circle in Chicago where you can scream at me.
So before I came to talk to you, I was wandering around the College Football Hall of Fame over there, and you get lost in that place.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing, like, just the things. And I went to WVU. So I'm just hitting on, like, Major Harris and, like, Don, like all these unbelievable stories. Have you been there, I'm sure?
I have not been to the new one. So
wow.
I grew up, this College Football Hall of Fame still in my heart and mind resides in South Bend, Indiana.
Right.
And so you
That's what I was
guys,
gonna say.
They stole it from us down here. I'm a little bitter about it still, so I've avoided it. I might give in before the week's
I was
out.
going to say, so is it comparable to when it was out there? Because I was out there years ago in South Bend.
It's, so I'm looking forward to seeing, by all accounts, everyone I've talked to, all the pictures and stuff I've seen, it looks incredible in there. In all seriousness, a city like Atlanta is built for that kind of shrine to college football, and I'm glad to see it's well taken care of because, in all seriousness, going there as a kid, and I think that's really what you build this for, is to show the history of this game to the next generation of kids and to grow up, running around on the field in front of the College Football Hall of Fame and go in there and watch the clips about Newt Rockne and all these old teams and all these great players that are part of the tradition that ended up becoming one I was a part of. Setting that tone and doing it in a major entertaining way like the College Football Hall of Fame does is really important.
So Mike Golic Jr. is with us, and you played at Notre Dame, but where would you say you grew up?
I grew up in Connecticut.
Yeah.
We bounced around a lot when I was a kid, so I grew up there. That's technically home. But Notre Dame, listen, it had always been like a second home to us. We had been going to a game or two a year there since the time I was in the third or fourth grade, and it became so comfortable. And by the time it was time to make that decision, there really wasn't a decision. We had been brainwashed pretty well, but it was billed to us as our choice, and obviously my parents did all the right things by us in that process, but there was nowhere else we wanted to be. So me, my brother, my sister, all scholarship athletes there, really enjoyed the experience and had a chance to grow with a lot of other people that made the same choice.
Now, obviously, Dad played in Philly for a while. I mean, he kind of considers that like a second, third home or something, right?
You know what? My mom and dad, because me and my brother were so young when he was playing in Philadelphia that I don't really remember that time. I don't have a lot of memories. We lived in South Jersey, all that stuff, but I would never say,
which is where we are.
Yeah, and I even say, I was born in Jersey, but I would hardly be able to call myself a New Jerseyan. So for my dad and mom, they have a lot of really fond memories in Philadelphia. They grew as a young couple there. They started their family there. Obviously, the bulk of my dad's career was there, and I think just fit really well with the city and the area. My dad grew up as a son of a bricklayer. Blue collar as they come, and that's the vibe of Philadelphia. That's the vibe of that entire area. Really is good, hardworking people that are also probably going to punch you in the mouth if you talk a little sideways.
So when you look at the Eagles, who were here last year, what would be at the top of the list of why they were not able to get back? It's not easy to get back, but the Patriots somehow do it almost every year. So when you look back at that team and wonder, why are they not here this week?
I mean, the defensive backfield was just an absolute mash unit. So when you can overcome injury, and the Eagles did during their Super Run, no question, but we all kind of talked about what an anomaly that was to lose your best linebacker, your Hall of Fame left tackle, and a number of other players along the way and all this. Now this year, you lose your basically entire defensive backfield. You lose a lot of your running back core from the year before that have made you so great. And all of a sudden, those things are just harder to add up. And then on top of it, you got a quarterback that was coming back from injury way too early. And so he's trying to overcome all this because, hell, he just watched Nick Foles win the Super Bowl like everybody else, and he wants to come back and be the leader that this team expects him to be and be the leader that this team drafted him to be. And I just think you take all those things together, it's hard to win in the NFL enough. It's even harder to win in an environment like that.
So, the amazing thing about the Patriots is in 2002, they win that game against the Rams, and they really have been in contention ever since. Most teams, though, they can't do it. So are the Eagles set up to be the team that can be more, playoff 3 out of 4 years? Or, a team like Denver won the Super Bowl, hasn't been relevant. A team like Carolina, 15-1, gets to the Super Bowl, can't get that success. Atlanta in the Super Bowl, bounced out last year, out. I mean, in this league, it's so hard to do what the Patriots are doing. So you wonder, are the Eagles the team that won the Super Bowl, made it to the playoffs, and then what?
You know what? I think they are set up for that just because it seems like the marriage of Doug Peterson and Carson Wentz still makes a tremendous amount of sense. Yeah, this year we faltered a little bit, but I guarantee you so much of the conversation surrounding the quarterback thing at the end of the season and who should be going forward, Carson Wentz is going to have a full offseason healthy as the Eagles starting quarterback. They are going to be a lot better for that opening week, and it is going to make us feel really dumb for doubting a lot of that towards the end of the season, the way a lot of people were wont to do. So, but I think they are set up for that. I think Carson Wentz has those intangibles. You hear some of the conflict, is when they say multiple players, it's probably one guy that's a little ticked off, and they make it sound like more than it is. This is an offense that doesn't feature, much like the Patriots, any one guy. Alshon Jeffrey's probably the true number one, but it's pretty spread out throughout all of that. You've got a running back stable, and you've got a really rock-solid offensive line that, when healthy, is one of the best in the league.
Mike Golic Jr. is with us. You hear him weekday mornings here on 97.3 ESPN at 5, and then sometimes all the way through. And, the two teams here, you got the Rams, who I find this story to be more interesting than it's getting played out to be. They were the favorite in 2002 that started this Rams thing, and here they are. It took them 17 years to get back here, and the Patriots have been doing this like old hat. So I find the fact that the Rams are in this game at the end of this Brady, who knows when the end will be, but maybe if they win this, it will start the end. Who the heck knows? But I do find the matchup more intriguing than it feels like it is.
It really is interesting just because you have that sort of one constant that's been here, and it's a true testament to how much the league has changed because now on the Rams side, you're dealing with the youngest head coach in the league, a young starting quarterback in his third year now in a Super Bowl, a former number one overall pick. The circumstances just couldn't be more polar opposite in all of it compared to the way the Patriots came into that. So it's really been a nice timestamp to sort of measure Tom Brady and Bill and what this dynasty has really meant to modern pro football.
Which I think makes what the Eagles did last year even more unbelievable. Because every other team loses that game every time. The shootout when Brady has the ball, they lose that game. Heck, the Chiefs just lost that game last week, and the Eagles were able to figure out a way, and I think that's what makes what the Eagles did so uniquely interesting. But the fact that the Patriots, there was a lot of talk. Super Bowl hangover, yet they never have one.
No, and that's the difference is the consistency, right? New England is just so unbelievably consistent, and that starts at the top. When Tom and Bill are the same guy day in and day out, and when they cut everyone that isn't willing to be the same day in and day out, you very quickly learn they don't need me. I need them. That's why they get so many veterans coming over there ring changing. That's why they get guys so willing to buy into the process. And any guy I know, friends of mine that have gone through and played New England for any amount of time, rave about it if you crave and you deal with that structure well. If you're a guy that wants to go in and work hard and be defined by what you put on the field, it tends to work out pretty well for you in New England. And even if it doesn't, I don't really hear guys hold grudges because they all love Tom, they all love Bill. They appreciate the approach that they bring to the game.
So one matchup in this game that intrigues you?
Matchup that intrigues me, I would say the Patriots tackles, and really the Patriots tight ends is an extension of that against Dante Fowler, because we know they're going to allot a lot of time and resources to trying to get protection in the middle of that Rams defensive line against Ndamukong Suh and against Aaron Donald. How am I going to forget that guy's name?
He's the easy guy.
Shows you how long I've been out here all day today. But you're going to allot a lot of resources to that. Tom Brady is, like everyone else, incredibly susceptible to being worse when he's pressured up the middle. So Fowler, who's made some big plays in the last few weeks, they're going to give the Patriots tight ends and backs chances when they slide guys down towards Aaron Donald. They're going to give them a chance to block Fowler one-on-one or maybe two-on-one. Can he make the plays necessary on the edge to allow those guys some relief in the middle? And can they stop the run?
And then I think interesting to see if, You know, there's a lot of talk that Gronk could maybe retire. Does he go out with a bang in this game, and they just feature him? Because we haven't seen him really featured at all. Like, he hasn't had that big game this year.
No, and you know what he's been, though? He's been what they've needed when they've needed him. In crunch time, in
last
the
week,
AFC Championship game, you saw when they still needed it, Gronk was there for them. He still got that matchup nightmare enough in those 1 or 2 spots in order to absolutely raise hell for you when it's time for him to shine. And he's been a devastating blocker. That was one thing I was disappointed in myself for not giving him enough credit for during the year, as we all talk about his demise and his slow breakdown physically, is, man, that guy is out there working his you-know-what off in the run game. And it really is. It makes your heart sing as a former offensive lineman, but the tight ends so often now just pass catchers. That guy is a true throwback and an absolute Hall of Famer.
Mike Golic Jr. spending some time with us here on Radio Row in Atlantic City. In Atlanta. We are on live in Atlantic City, and it is Eagles. Now, Patriots, Rams on Sunday.
You got a few more days where they're still defending champions.
And
a few
then
more days.
5 days after that, they got to make a decision on Foles.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, and I think, unfortunately, I think it's a pretty easy one. Yeah. That price tag along with it, you'll do whatever you have to do to get compensation back, but I don't think Nick Foles is on this team next year.
Mike, it's great to catch up, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Mike Golic Jr., everybody right here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN.